The Secret Diaries, Chapter 3. How to Use the Secret. The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Chapter 3 of The Secret is where things stop being abstract ideas and start being something we can actually live. Up until now, we've understood that our thoughts and feelings influence our reality. But here, Rhonda Byrne teaches us how to intentionally use that power. The chapter feels simple at first, almost too simple, which can make it tricky to take seriously, but it's deceptively powerful. The universe is always responding, always listening, always reflecting what we put out. The only question is whether we are aware of what we are putting out. This chapter isn't about forcing outcomes or controlling life. It's about alignment, aligning your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs so the universe can respond to your true desires. It's about noticing habitual patterns, learning how to redirect them, and practicing the emotional states that allow you to create intentionally. Byrne lays out a step-by-step process that can be summarized as ask, believe, visualize, feel, and act as if. But each step requires mindfulness, honesty, and a willingness to change how you relate to life. Chapter 3, Core Concepts. Thoughts are the beginning point. Byrne opens this chapter by reminding us that every experience in life begins as a thought. She doesn't frame it lightly, she emphasizes the gravity of it. Your thoughts are the beginning point for everything. They are the architects of your reality. Thoughts become things. Just like gravity, thoughts are constantly at work. Whether we notice them or not, whether we understand them or not, they are shaping our experiences. And this is where Chapter 3 starts to feel like a mirror, sometimes flattering, sometimes confronting, because it forces us to ask ourselves, if everything I've been experiencing is the reflection of my thoughts, what have I been thinking? Byrne also points out, whatever you think about it in the way that you want it to be. This isn't just motivational fluff, it's literal. The universe responds to the frequency of your thinking, not the volume, not your intentions, not your self-talk. It simply responds. And that means that every worry, every replayed fear, every imagined catastrophe is also being broadcast, whether we like it or not. I remember when I first read this, I had that little internal gasp, the uncomfortable one that makes you look at yourself in the mirror a bit too long. I realized I had spent years rehearsing negative outcomes, worrying about deadlines, overanalyzing conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios for projects, relationships, even social events. And each thought was quietly, invisibly shaping my life. It wasn't punishment, it was literal cause and effect. That insight made me feel empowered and slightly terrified at the same time. Reflection. This part of the chapter taught me to watch my thoughts more consciously, not to judge them, but to notice which ones I returned to over and over. I began asking myself, do these thoughts serve me? Do they create what I truly want, or do they simply reinforce fear? Awareness alone, I discovered, is transformative. Just noticing your habitual thoughts gives you a chance to redirect them toward creation instead of unconsciously repeating patterns of struggle. Ask clearly. The next major concept is about asking the universe, and here Byrne emphasizes something we often overlook. Clarity is everything. Ask for what you want and believe you will receive it. You cannot help the universe if you don't know what you want. The universe isn't confused. It doesn't work on guesswork or hope. It responds to clear, deliberate desire. Vague or hesitant asking only produces vague results. Constantly repeating your desire in a state of fear or desperation weakens it rather than strengthening it. Asking is not about obsession, it's about clarity and intention. I laughed quietly at myself reading this. I realized how often I asked for things in my life while emotionally preparing for disappointment. I would say, I want this, but probably it won't happen. Maybe it's too much. Okay, but I'll settle if I don't get it. That's not asking, that's emotional chaos. Chapter 3 taught me that clear, deliberate asking is a form of self-respect. It's trusting yourself enough to know what you truly want and asking for it without apology. Learning to ask clearly changed my relationship with desire. I no longer feel the need to justify or qualify what I want. I learned to ask once, clearly, and then step back to allow life to respond. The universe responds to precision, not desperation. Feelings are the true language of the universe. Byrne repeatedly emphasizes that feelings are more important than thoughts alone. They are the signal the universe reads. Your feelings tell you what you are thinking. Feeling good is the fastest way to bring more good things into your life. Thoughts start the process, but emotions amplify it. You can repeat affirmations all day long, but if your dominant feeling is fear, doubt, or anxiety, the universe receives that instead of your words. This part of the chapter freed me from the pressure of forced positivity. I realized that emotional honesty matters more than fake optimism. I learned to observe fear, frustration, or doubt without judgment, and then gently redirect my focus toward relief, calm, or hope. Even a small emotional shift, a few minutes of imagining relief, breathing into calm, or noting one positive thing begins to realign my vibration. This section taught me emotional responsibility without self-criticism. I don't need to feel happy all the time. I need to guide my emotional state gently, repeatedly, and with awareness. It's a practice, not a demand. Gratitude opens the door. Gratitude is presented as one of the highest frequency emotions we can practice. Byrne writes, gratitude is the open door that allows the universe to deliver your desires. Gratitude is not a reaction to receiving, it's a signal of alignment. When we feel genuinely grateful for what already exists, we open ourselves to receive more. The chapter emphasizes that abundance flows to the vibration you are emitting, not to your checklists, calendars, or frantic effort. When I began practicing gratitude daily, I noticed subtle but profound shifts. Even on challenging days, acknowledging something that was already good, a calm moment, a kind word, a small success, shifted my internal energy. Resistance softened, anxiety loosened its grip. Life felt lighter, more spacious. Gratitude doesn't ignore problems or pretend everything is perfect. It simply acknowledges what is already working and expands it. Over time, this practice fundamentally changes how we perceive life, allowing the universe to bring more good into our experience. Visualization bridges thought and feeling. Visualization is one of the most practical tools presented in Chapter 3. Byrne explains, when you visualize, you materialize. Create the feeling of having it now. Visualization works because the mind responds emotionally as if imagined experiences were real. When we vividly imagine a desired outcome and feel it emotionally, we begin to align our energy with that reality. I realized I was already visualizing constantly, usually imagining what could go wrong. Redirecting that imagination toward my desired outcomes felt like reclaiming a superpower I had been using unconsciously for negative results. Visualizing with emotion allows belief to grow organically. Feeling the success in advance prepares us emotionally to receive it physically. Visualization became my rehearsal for life. I didn't wait for evidence or approval. I practiced the feeling first, letting my mind and body align with what I wanted. Belief is the foundation. Byrne makes it clear without belief, asking, visualization, and gratitude are limited in effectiveness. You must believe you deserve to receive. The universe will give you exactly what you believe you are worthy of. Belief is about removing internal resistance. It's not arrogance, it's permission to allow what you desire. This was a confronting part of the chapter. I realized that some of my desires challenged my self-image. I didn't resist because they were impossible. I resisted because I had never allowed myself to feel worthy of them. Belief is not about proving something to the universe. It's about accepting that we deserve good things. Strengthening belief is a gentle, ongoing process. It grows with repeated practice of gratitude, visualization, and aligned action. As belief strengthens, resistance softens, and receiving feels natural. Acting as if. Chapter 3 explains that belief must be reflected in behavior. Byrne writes, "When you act as if you have received, you are showing faith." This doesn't mean pretending or forcing. It means aligning your decisions, choices, and energy with trust instead of fear. It's the physical confirmation of your internal state. I noticed that when I acted as if, when I made choices from calm confidence rather than anxious anticipation, opportunities appeared that I might have missed while resisting. Acting as if is a rehearsal for life. It trains both mind and body to align with your desires. This simple but powerful principle reminded me that confidence is practiced, not waited for. Life responds to certainty, not desperation. Now, let's take a look at how Chapter 3 works in real life. Story 1. Emily, the librarian who relearned joy. Emily had loved books since she was a child. She remembered the quiet thrill of discovering a new story, the smell of pages, the thrill of ideas spilling out into her mind. Becoming a librarian seemed perfect, a life surrounded by knowledge, quiet moments, and the opportunity to share her love of reading with others. But 15 years in, the magic had faded. Her days were filled with administrative tasks, cataloging errors, and constant requests that pulled her attention in 100 directions. The library was understaffed, the budget tight, and the workload heavy. By the time she got home, she was exhausted, mentally cluttered, and quietly resentful. "I'm just a glorified clerk," she often thought. "I do all this work, but nobody notices, nobody cares." Her energy reflected those thoughts. She felt invisible. Her interactions with colleagues and patrons were polite but distant. Life mirrored her belief that her efforts didn't matter, and that mirroring was exhausting. Then Emily stumbled upon Chapter 3 of The Secret. At first, she was skeptical. Thoughts create reality? That sounds like a nice idea for someone else, she thought. But the idea kept lingering. She started paying attention to her habitual thoughts, the ones that ran automatically through her day, and realized she had been sending out a steady stream of fatigue, frustration, and self doubt. She decided to experiment, starting small. Every morning, before she opened the library doors, she wrote down 3 things she appreciated about her work. Some days it was simple: a kind thank you from a patron, the quiet of an empty reading room, the smell of freshly printed library cards. Other days it was deeper: a child returning a book with a huge smile, a colleague helping her organize a new collection. Then Emily began visualizing, not grand visions of fame or awards, but small, heartfelt images, walking through the library feeling calm and confident, helping a student find the perfect book and seeing their eyes light up, feeling the quiet satisfaction of a productive day. She imagined these moments with all her senses: the sound of pages flipping, the subtle scent of polished wood, the warmth of sunlight through the tall windows. As she practiced gratitude and visualization, Emily noticed subtle changes. She felt lighter. She smiled more naturally. She stopped obsessing over mistakes. She began interacting with colleagues differently, offering encouragement and noticing small successes. The universe didn't immediately reward her with a perfect library, but opportunities started appearing: a program for children's literacy that she could lead, a librarian mentor program, even a local newspaper reaching out for a small interview about her innovative cataloging system. Belief, Emily realized, was the hardest part. She had spent so many years thinking she didn't matter, that she had to prove her worth. Slowly, she practiced believing: I deserve to create joy here. My work is valuable. I can enjoy it without guilt. It didn't happen all at once. Some mornings the old doubts crept in, but she didn't fight them. She noticed them and gently redirected her energy. 6 months in, Emily walked through the library and felt something she hadn't in years: joy. She remembered why she started. Her work still involved challenges, but now she approached them from alignment rather than resistance. She had learned the essence of Chapter 3. Thoughts, feelings, and belief shape reality, and small, consistent shifts can transform life. Story 2: Marcus, the urban barista who found flow. Marcus worked in a bustling coffee shop in the heart of a city that never slept. The shop was noisy, crowded, and demanding. Baristas rushed from one espresso shot to another. Customers placed impossible orders, and the management expected speed and perfection. Marcus loved coffee, the craft, and the rhythm of a busy morning, but he didn't love the stress. Every day he walked into the shop feeling anxious. Every mistake, even small, replayed in his head. I'm not good enough. I'll never get promoted. I'll never save enough to move out of my tiny apartment. His mind was a nonstop commentary on failure. Unsurprisingly, life reflected that fear. Opportunities seemed scarce. His tips were inconsistent. He felt stuck. Then, one evening, Marcus's friend lent him The Secret. At first, he read it with mild amusement. Positive thinking and visualization sounds like magic. But as he reached chapter 3, something clicked. He realized that his own thoughts were fueling his stress, not the coffee shop, not the customers, not the city. Marcus started small. He began his mornings with gratitude: 3 things he appreciated: the perfect crema on a latte you pulled, a customer who smiled, a colleague who remembered his name. He didn't ignore the chaos, but he created moments of alignment within it. He began visualizing the day ahead, each customer interaction flowing smoothly, each drink prepared with calm confidence, the shop moving rhythmically as if it had its own energy. He imagined not only performing well, but feeling competent and appreciated. Marcus also worked on belief. He repeated quietly to himself, I am capable, I deserve growth, my work matters. Some days he forgot, some days doubt shouted louder than belief, but every day he returned to it. He also started acting as if, not in a fake way, but with subtle gestures of confidence, greeting each customer warmly, moving with intention, taking a moment to breathe before a difficult order. He stopped reacting to every small chaos as a crisis and began flowing with it. Months later, things began to shift. Regular customers started noticing his calm professionalism. The manager recognized his initiative. Marcus was offered a training role for new baristas, a small promotion that came with mentorship opportunities. Even his inner life changed. The anxiety that had been constant began to soften, replaced by a sense of flow and satisfaction. Marcus learned the same lesson Emily had, but in a very different environment. Alignment creates opportunity. Life mirrors the energy you emit, and when you consistently align your inner world with your desires, the outer world begins to shift. Change doesn't always arrive instantly or dramatically, but over time, small shifts compound into profound transformation. These stories show that Chapter 3 is not theoretical. It works for people in quiet libraries and bustling coffee shops, for structured offices or chaotic urban spaces, for anyone willing to notice their thoughts, practice gratitude, visualize, believe in their worth, practice gratitude, visualize their success, and act as if they've already received what they want. Life doesn't reward struggle, it responds to alignment. Emily and Marcus remind us that these principles work in every environment, quiet or chaotic, structured or unpredictable. Life responds to the energy you emit, and when you consistently align your inner world with your desires, the outer world begins to shift. Change doesn't always arrive instantly or dramatically, but over time, small shifts compound into profound transformation. Chapter 3 leaves us with a simple but powerful truth. You are the co-creator of your life. Life is not happening to you, it is happening with you. Every thought you choose, every emotion you nurture, every belief you strengthen, and every action you take is a signal to the universe of the life you are ready to live. So now I'll leave you with this question to carry forward. If your thoughts create your life, which life will you choose? Comment below, happy, peaceful, successful, or something else. Let me know your thoughts, and let's see how our desires might be different from each other. And that brings us to the end of the detailed summary of Chapter 3. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next episode, where we'll dive into Chapter 4. If you'd like to support my work, you can buy me a coffee or make a donation here on YouTube. Every bit helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.